The blimp takes off with passengers and heads for New York.
And they are clearly identified flying objects.
And I think we can get a beautiful view of a Jackie Stewart from the blimp today.
As everyone knows, blimps are a little different from airplanes.
You know, I wonder why the blimp world and fans of it, like myself, are just so into it. I think it all just comes back to it's so unusual.
They're this strange floating entity up in the sky. They bob a little bit like a fish.
Ever since I saw it, I was like hooked on it, you know. Every time it came to my town, I just wanted to see it.
The only way I can describe it is really pure joy.
We joke around that everyone is a kid when they get near the blimp. They're just different ages, whether they're 2 or they're 99. I've never seen somebody not smiling and just full of joy if they're riding on the airship or even just walking around it, asking questions or taking a tour. Really, it brings out that inner childhood of everybody.
One of the things I find really interesting about the Goodyear Blimp is why a tire company has a blimp. What is it about this campaign, this entity, that has generated so much goodwill, so many conversations around the brand?
So we're asked often why a tire company has blimps, and our easy answer is that blimps are cool. Why would we not have a blimp? But the actual answer is a little more complicated than that, and to answer that really, we have to look back almost 100 years. I've been interested in the blimp for a long time. I didn't expect it to become a career, but I actually have pictures of me when I was 7 years old, looking in the window of what became the blimp that I learned to fly on almost 25 years later. I was actually a lawn business owner when I was working my way through college, made some extra money to help pay for flight school, but one of the accounts was at the hangar here where the airship is kept in Akron. What that bought for me was a foot in the door to get to meet some of the pilots at the time, got to know some of the crew at the time, and really got interested in the airship as possibly a career, or at least something cool that I could be a little piece of. I used to be called Grasshopper because I was out here mowing grass, and the crew would see me out there every day, and now I'm running the organization that was watching me literally cut grass at the facility where the airships are kept.
For more than a century, the Goodyear Blimp has been a symbol of wonder, mystery, delight, and nostalgia. This lighter-than-air marvel has captivated hearts all over the world, and its rich history has made it a household name.
We get asked a lot why it's called a blimp. The term blimp has some mystery in its origin as well. And the fun story to tell is that when the Navy first brought airships on as tools to use, one of the officers that was in charge of the program came up and flicked the blimp with his finger, and it made a bloom sound. And so he said, huh, blimp. And then ever since, it's been called a blimp. Probably the more true story would be that it was a B-class airship, and it was a limp-type airship because it had no internal structure. The B, limp, you put them together, and it was the blimp.
The Goodyear Blimp that we're in right now is not technically a blimp. It is a semi-rigid airship. But I think if you see it in the sky, people are going to point to it and call it a blimp. The broad category, the umbrella category, is dirigible. These are steerable, lighter-than-air crafts. But underneath that, you have blimps and semi-rigid airships. So what we're in right now is a semi-rigid airship. That means that there is an internal structure that will help to give that balloon its shape. On the other hand, a true blimp can be deflated all the way down. So something like the smaller advertising blimps you see nowadays, those are true blimps. And the original Goodyear blimps were also true blimps. You could deflate them all the way down. But now all of the Wingfoot fleet is a semi-rigid airship.
Regardless of where the name comes from, airships have been around since 1852. when Henri Giffard created the first steerable powered dirigible in Paris. For Goodyear, experiments in lighter than air began nearly 60 years later in the heart of America.
The Goodyear Blimp, as we know it today, was really a vision of our original chairman at Goodyear, P.W. Litchfield. And Paul Litchfield was a huge fan of aviation.
He was a sailor. He loved the ocean, loved the sailing boats. So he looked at the airships as yachts, sailing yachts in the sky. In the earlier days, really superseding the blimps themselves was balloons. Goodyear made several balloons for races.
Goodyear was interested in rubber, and balloons at that point were essentially being made out of rubberized fabric, which is what Goodyear was producing.
I always want to get back to well, why is it Goodyear involved in this and not Ford or something like that? That's primarily the fabric that was required, the rubberized materials to make tires. In 1925, actually, the Litchfield Cup was invented by Paul Litchfield to further ballooning in America.
What began as a balloon program quickly progressed into building airships for military use. In 1917, Wingfoot Lake Hangar, outside of Akron, Ohio, was constructed to house and maintain these ships. Between 1917 and 1925, approximately 25 airships for the U.S. Army and Navy were built at Wingfoot Lake, and it was also used as a training facility for the first class of Navy airship pilots.
The Goodyear engineers just went to work on producing American naval airships during World War I, and Army airships too, military airships initially. And they were used for things like cruising offshore, looking for submarines, or escorting convoys and that kind of thing. And the Army used them just for a variety of purposes. But when World War I was over, Goodyear had all that experience, both with balloons and with airships at that point.
In 1925, the first true Goodyear blimp was born. Named Pilgrim, it was the first commercial blimp to be filled with helium instead of hydrogen.
It was the grandfather of the Goodyear airships as we know them today. That airship had a lot of new innovation. It was the very first helium-filled airship. We were able to put the gondola or the passenger car actually flush onto the bottom of the envelope. The passenger car was very small, only 3 people inside, including the pilot. A lot of times, one of the other people was a mechanic to kind of keep the motor running. In the late teens and early 20s, the motors weren't super reliable back then, but we could put a couple of passengers in there and actually fly this thing around. Although it was a big step forward in innovation, there were several things to come in the next 5 to 10 years after that.
The idea that you could advertise in the sky, you can't take that too lightly. There weren't a lot of airplanes around. There really was no concerted large effort to put anything in the sky like skywriting or whatever you might want to think of. People are going to look up. They're going to look up and they're going to see it. They're going to see the name on the side of the blimp. So I think that was a pretty impressive move early on.
Today, the gondola of the Pilgrim is now part of the National Collection at the Smithsonian.
We are in the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum's Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy facility, which is sort of the nation's hangar. A lot of these aircraft are one of a kind. To get into the National Collection, they have to have some specific reason. They have to have done something or represent something. Goodyear blimps are here because of what they represent to the American people, I think. I think they represent a good time and people's just delight in seeing them up in the sky. I mean, they're low and slow and big, that aluminum color with the Goodyear on the side. And again, people have seen them at public events where they were having a good time. Gosh, I mean, it deserves representation. An iconic flying machine like the Goodyear Blimp deserves to be in the Smithsonian, for heaven's sakes.
Pilgrim also began a century-long tradition of christening new airships. Like ships of the sea, these ships of the sky were christened by a notable woman of the time.
Paul Litchfield really envisioned them as his own personal form of transportation, sort of like a yacht on the water. This would be a yacht of the sky. And it's not called an airship for nothing, because even now they fly very much like a boat flying in the sky. Because of that, they decided that when we had a Goodyear Blimp and it was brought into the Goodyear fleet, it should be christened, just like a boat is christened. One of the most well-known versions of christening any craft is by breaking a champagne bottle on the hull somewhere, is what you're supposed to do, which then is a sign of good luck for that craft and a sign of prosperity in its life.
Christening a blimp went on to become a prestigious rite of passage for more than 40 women since 1925, including aviator Amelia Earhart, the first American woman in space, Dr. Sally Ride, Good Morning America host Robin Roberts, and businesswoman, philanthropist, and wife of one of the top NBA athletes in history, Savannah James.
Thank you for watching Icon in the Sky, 100 Years of the Goodyear Blimp. We'll get you back to the show shortly. I'm Natalie Pillsbury, President and CEO of PBS Western Reserve, and I'm here with Lindsay Kuntzman, our Chief Development Officer. And we are here to talk to you about supporting PBS Western Reserve. We are a nonprofit public media organization that relies on our community to support this organization. You can easily make a contribution by calling the number on your screen, 1-800-672-4549, or give online.
And we have so many reasons why you should be giving tonight. We've got incredible thank you gifts that we'll be talking about in just a couple minutes here. I think the one, Natalie, that I am most excited about is an authentic piece of fabric from the Spirit of Goodyear Blimp.
That is a cool one.
It is so cool. So we'll be talking more about that coming up.
Yes, it's so important that everyone watching right now make a contribution to support PBS Western Reserve. We are a nonprofit public media organization, and this year we lost federal funding, which means that we have a $600,000 budget gap to fill. We've seen a great outpouring of support from the community, but there is still room to make up in order to stay on track with our budget. So your contribution right now will help this public media organization that serves our communities here in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania to remain strong. Call 1-800-672-4549 or give online to support us now.
And when you give online, like we said, we've got some incredible thank you gifts tonight. We have these limited edition trading cards. They feature Wingfoot 1, 2, and 3, and they can be yours with a $5 a month donation. That $5 a month helps keep PBS Western Reserve strong, and if you have any aviation fans in your family, you could be gifting them these trading cards. If you're able to make a $10 a month donation, we have this collector item keychain. It has Goodyear Airships crew, so you can feel like you're a part of the team that operates the Goodyear Blimp when you carry that around. Maybe you think, you know what, I could give a little bit more than just $10. I think I could support PBS Western Reserve with a $19 a month donation. And when you do that, you could pick up the historical blimp magnet set. It has 4 of these magnets. I think it's so cool. It even features the Pilgrim, which was the very first blimp that was operated by Goodyear back in 1925. If you notice, Natalie and I are wearing these limited edition shirts that have a design of a blimp and the PBS Western Reserve logo on them. They're long sleeve, they're this nice navy heather blue color. They could be yours for a $24 a month donation. They are incredibly comfortable. Again, if there's any aviation fans in your family, now would be the time to get one of these shirts. You're supporting PBS Western Reserve, and you could give this shirt as a gift to someone. If you are able to make a $30 a month contribution, we have the flagship hat available for you. $30 a month gets you this navy blue, soft, low-profile hat. It has a little propeller on it, and 1925 when the blimp started operating. If you're able to give $50 a month, Then we have our holiday package. It features a mug with the Goodyear Blimp and a Goodyear Blimp ornament. I love this ornament. It's engraved in the back saying 100 years in the sky. Comes with a silver ribbon, so it'd look great hanging up in a Christmas tree if you celebrate. That is our holiday package. These are both limited edition items. And then finally, the item that I am most excited to talk about tonight. At $100 a month, you could take home an authentic piece of fabric from the spirit of Goodyear. This piece of fabric I learned came from the envelope of the spirit of Goodyear, which is where all of the gases come out of. Ooh. These are very limited, so you want to call 1-800-672-4549 right now so you can pick up one of these limited edition items.
Yes, all of these incredible thank you gifts are so special and only available during this program. Icon in the sky about the 100 years of the Goodyear Blimp. So we hope that you make the choice to contribute right now and select one of these really exciting items. But, you know, we have something even more exciting to share with you right now. PBS Western Reserve has a ride on the Goodyear Blimp that we are going to be selecting a winner from a drawing to ride on the Goodyear Blimp. This drawing is available when you make a contribution. You're automatically entered, and you have until December 19th to get in on the drawing. But this is for a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. These are not available, you know, broadly to the public. So this is extremely special, and you're going to want to make a contribution to make sure that you get in on this drawing and that you can ride on the Goodyear Blimp. Coming up right now, we have a little segment that's going to explain who the Goodyear Blimp really belongs to.
The Blimp's almost like a mascot of LA. I guarantee you probably 99% of Angelenos think the Blimp is our thing and it only exists here. I feel like LA wouldn't be the same without the Blimp.
Walking up to it, it is just this presence and this LA icon that you feel like you are approaching. It is a really unique experience.
We're Pompano. We're Pompano people, and the Pompano Blimp is ours. Every city has something, but the Blimp is ours, and it's iconic. I'm 57 years old, and we still stop and say, look, there's the Blimp. That's when you know something's really cool to your community. Sorry, Ohio, but it's ours.
We're members of this Palm Beach Sailing Club, and when you're out in the water out there, you see it a lot of times going north, and kids' regattas and things. Whenever you're outside, you see it. It's kind of hard to miss.
The Blimp belongs to Akron. Period. End of story. It's cool that it's there. It's cool that it's in Florida. They belong here.
I think the Blimp means a lot to Akron. It's our own national treasure, along with some other ones that we have from Akron. But I think that to see all of these major events all around the world, and to see that the Blimp is a part of those, and to know that, you know, we're just from this little town in Ohio, and we could drive up the street and see these amazing monstrosities.
Well, we are very possessive. I mean, when I say we, I lived in Ohio for a long time, and I went to school in Akron. So the Blimp is everything to us.
To me, it just means home. That's what the Blimp means to me, to have it in Akron. It's just home.
We're at the headquarters of Blimp happiness.
It's great to have confirmed what I think we already knew, which is that the Goodyear Blimp belongs to Akron. We are here right now asking for your support of PBS Western Reserve. And when you make a contribution to support this nonprofit public media organization, you will be automatically entered into a drawing to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. This is an exclusive offer only available until December 19th. So make your contribution right now. Call us at 1-800-672-4549, and you will automatically be entered into that drawing to win a ride on the Blimp.
And not only are you automatically entered into that drawing, but when you call that number on your screen or visit our website, you can see all the incredible thank you gifts we have to offer. I am so excited about everything we're offering with this program tonight. We have limited edition trading cards. They feature Wingfoot 1, 2, and 3. There's facts on the back. Those are available at $5 a month. If you're able to make a donation of $10 a month, we have a collectible keychain that says Goodyear Airships Crew. I also am really incredibly excited about what we're offering at $19 a month. It is a 4-set magnet piece that has all of the historical blimps included on it. But the item that I am most excited to talk about tonight is what you get when you make a $100 a month contribution. At that level, you get an authentic piece of fabric from the spirit of Goodyear. It's in this nice little laser etched acrylic case, and it's really a piece of fabric from the spirit of Goodyear, which is just unbelievable to me. $100 a month, you're supporting PBS Western Reserve with that and taking home an amazing limited edition thank you gift.
Call us at 1-800-672-4549 and select the thank you gift that is right for you at the level that's right for you. And everyone who contributes during this program through December 19th will be entered into that contest to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. You're only going to find it here with PBS Western Reserve. Please contribute right now.
I have to say, I didn't realize at the time how big of a deal christening Wingfoot 2 was. Being listed as one of the women alongside the other women who have also christened the blimp. I mean, it was an amazing experience. It was an amazing honor. I had the honor of seeing her off and christening her with the champagne bottle. It was just a really cool experience. I think the blimp means a lot to Akron. It's our own national treasure, along with some other ones that we have from Akron. To see all of these major events all around the world and to see that the blimp is a part of those and to know that, you know, we're just from this little town in Ohio and we could drive up the street and see these amazing monstrosities.
After Pilgrim, the blimp program began to grow. A second blimp, Puritan, was built larger and could carry more weight than Pilgrim. Puritan began a nearly 50-year tradition of naming the blimps after racing yachts that won the America's Cup. With adventure and excitement in their hearts, the early engineers, crews, and pilots drove the blimp program forward, continuing to experiment with new ways to use the airships.
First 2 men on each line. Go out and get them.
There's great pictures of some of the early airships landing in huge crowds of people at airports, helping people pull off stunts because that's what people did, hanging a trapeze from the bottom and having somebody hang from it as you flew across over a downtown area, or water skiing off of the back because the blimp could hover for a minute and then actually move like a boat but be in the sky. Getting out into the people and into the crowds was something that these folks did with some of these smaller airships, and they were capable of doing that because the blimps were really small. You know, we didn't have all of the same types of rules and things we have today, so if they landed into a crowd and the crowd helped to land them and hold them for a minute, that was just what they did. So I can imagine that seeing the country with the lack of technology and forecasting and all of the other things that we really lean into now, not having that, and then taking barnstorming to a whole other level by doing it in an airship would have been pretty crazy.
By the 1930s, a whole fleet of blimps had taken to the skies. A new era of airships began with the addition of a lighted sign on the side of the blimp, Defender.
The initial idea was that the blimps are actually really hard to see at night. There's no color on them, the lights are far away, they almost look like a tower sitting still in the distance. What we soon found out with that was that if we had the technology, or we could drive the technology forward enough to make the letters change, we could put kind of whatever we wanted on there. And sometimes we got brightness enough to be able to use it during the day. But certainly during the night, we could make messaging across, we could tell different stories. They envisioned it as running it as almost like a ticker where they could put information or data across the outside of the sign whenever and whatever they wanted to have.
Other new technology and improved operational capabilities vastly grew the public's interest in airships from the late 1920s to the 1940s. This era became coined the golden age of airships.
So as often happens, Technology was being driven on both sides of the ocean. Goodyear wasn't the only one dealing in airships. Zeppelin across the ocean also was dealing in airships. They were really focused on airline-style travel or luxury-style travel, boat-style, but in the sky and at speeds that would allow you to cross the Atlantic, for example, in days instead of weeks, like a boat would. They were successful in this, and especially when they got to Graf Zeppelin, that made several transatlantic trips, but that was an extremely exclusive travel. Sometimes in today's dollars, it would be like spending more than a car, $30,000 or $40,000 for a ticket. This airline-style travel was also something that we were looking at kind of in a micro version here, and that's Paul Litchfield's kind of original plan, was to bring these things to the people, and he wanted these to be more an individual style form of travel rather than an airline style form of travels. He was sending the airships out on the road quite a bit, and they covered 40 plus states up and down both coasts, as far into the mountainous terrain in the center of the United States as they could get. But everywhere that they went, they just brought excitement to everyone that they touched, the people that they saw. All this innovation, kind of golden age of airships, would sort of come to an end just a few years later.
In 1937, the era of airships would start to fade. The Hindenburg burst into flames, forever changing the way the public viewed airships. Airplanes became faster and more accessible than airships.
The honest truth is that the great airships existed at a particular time for a particular reason. Airplanes in the 1930s were limited range and carrying capacity. And airships could do things that no airplane could do. They weren't as fast as airplanes. They actually weren't as safe as airplanes, but they could do transcontinental journeys that airplanes couldn't do yet. And that's why, after the Hindenburg tragedy, that's why the giant airships disappeared, because airplanes now could fly across oceans and continents. So the real economic and military role that the giant airship had was gone. They were replaced by airplanes.
Still, the Goodyear Blimp continued to persist, even as the United States was on the edge of war. As the U.S. entered World War II, so did the blimps.
When World War II began, there was a military role for blimps again. They really did have a job to do, coastal patrols, looking for submarines off the Atlantic and off the Pacific.
Because of their ability to fly at low altitudes and speeds, blimps were ideal vessels for keeping watch over U.S. Navy ships, spotting enemy submarines before they could attack.
Goodyear and its PR airships really got pushed into the war right after Pearl Harbor, because we had one airship, one PR airship on the West Coast at the time, the Resolute, and the Resolute and its crew were drafted into the Navy as a whole. So the U.S. Navy and the Allied forces and a lot of the supply chains that were going back and forth across the ocean were really struggling early in the war. There was a lot of losses, a lot of surface ships that were lost, especially the U-boats, because the U-boats couldn't be seen by the boats that were sitting in the water. But what we found was the airships gave a very unique view of the water, and we knew that from before because we had been all over the place with the airship. So it fit right in that if an airship was next to a surface ship and then a U-boat came up around, the airship would know that and could radio back and help support that boat in defending itself.
During the war, Goodyear built a total of 154 airships for the U.S. Navy and escorted more than 89,000 ships without a single loss to enemy submarines while an airship was overhead.
Thank you for tuning in to watch Icon in the Sky, 100 Years of the Goodyear Blimp. I am so excited to be here right now with Katie Robinson, who is the film's director. Very special opportunity to talk with you. We have a few questions for you. But first, I just want to share we are here live during this very special presentation of Icon in the Sky. We have some incredible incentives right now, reasons for you to contribute to PBS Western Reserve to support programming, just like the documentary you're watching right now. All contributions this evening will be matched dollar for dollar, up to $30,000. So we have this match on the table just for the next couple of hours, and we're asking everyone watching to make a contribution and double the impact of your gift. We also are doing a drawing to give away for one lucky winner a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. And the drawing this evening is actually double entry night. So if you contribute during this program, you will be entered in the drawing twice to potentially win that ride on the Goodyear Blimp. So make that contribution by calling 1-800-672-4549, or you can easily give online. Now I'm going to turn it over to Katie. I do have some questions for you about your process. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah. Well, the film is incredible. So excellent work and congratulations.
It's really an incredible project to get to work on.
Yes. So how did this project evolve from concept to completed film? What was your process like?
It evolved quite a bit, you know, with the 100th anniversary approaching at the time. We wanted to do something really special. Not many things make it to 100 years, so we really wanted to capture that. And kind of from the beginning, we wanted to really capture the heart of it. You know, there's a lot of history. You can find a lot of information about the blimps online. There's books, but we really wanted to bring something special to this piece, and you know, the stories that can only be told through the people that lived them. So that was kind of the plan from the beginning, and through all of the interviews we did and the stories we heard, it kind of evolved from there into really shaping the story and making it a finished hour-long piece.
Yes, and I really do love the sort of human story-centered way that the film came together. You know, how did you conduct your research? Did you have, you know, what did that look like? How long before you started shooting did you have to research, and did you have support?
I did have a lot of support. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of information online.
Yeah.
I had, before we even started, I had like a 40-page Word document of just like a timeline of the whole history of the airships, and it was quite a lot of research going into it. There's books. But I think the best resources for me were the people. We have a really great historian who you've already seen in the film, I believe, Eddie Ogden, who answered all my very oddly specific blimp questions. And people like Doc, who you'll hear from in a little bit, were a really great resource for this.
That's wonderful. Did you learn anything in the process of, you know, researching or even in creating the film that surprised you or that you weren't expecting?
There's just a lot of things that the airships were involved in and that they did. Like, I didn't know there was a point where they were just going all over the place doing like crazy stunts, like water skiing off of the blimp or having trapeze artists, you know, hanging out of the blimp and things like that. So that was pretty fascinating, and just hearing all the little details that you might not see online.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
You'll see it soon.
Great. How many people did you interview for the project, either those that made it into the film or on background? And, you know, who was your favorite interview? I know that's hard to pick.
I have like a top 10 probably.
Okay.
We interviewed
top couple.
around 50 people, which is a lot for an hour-long piece. So we weren't able to use a lot, but I'm really, really glad that we did, because now we have all of this history and all of these stories collected.
Yeah.
But probably, well, I'll do top 3.
Okay, yes.
My favorite, Tom Crouch from the Smithsonian was incredible. He's just like a wealth of knowledge about airships. And we interviewed him in front of the very first Goodyear Blimp gondola, the Pilgrim, at the Smithsonian, which is just an incredible experience to be able to do that. You'll see a little bit later in the film, we had a few celebrity appearances, but we had one by Ice Cube, who references the blimp in one of his most popular songs, so we got to talk with him, and that man just loves the blimp so much. He was really fun to talk to. And then the third, I'd just say all the fans. We posted some calls in the local Facebook groups, the blimp fan Facebook groups, and we found some people that just adore the blimp. You know, they grew up watching it, they love it, they're super interested in it. They have giant memorabilia collections.
Yeah.
So those are really fun, and they all have these really special, heartfelt stories.
Wow, I mean, 50 interviews, that's quite a bit.
It's quite a bit. We overdid it maybe.
No, never.
But I'm glad we got them all.
Are there plans for any of the interviews that didn't make it into the film?
Possibly.
Yeah,
we're still planning that one out a little
Yeah.
bit, but I'd like to do something with those for sure.
Cool. Is there anything that wasn't included in the film, whether it was part of an interview, a conversation, a piece of footage, that what didn't make it into the film, but that you could share with us that you thought was interesting?
I really love the history, and for me, we didn't include a ton of detail about it, but the big rigid airships are really interesting to me. That's kind of a parallel story to the Goodyear blimps. We really wanted to focus on the blimps for this, but at the same time, Goodyear was building these huge airships over at the air dock in Akron.
Yeah.
And we found some really cool footage. They were also aircraft carriers, so there's footage of them, launching and catching planes off of the ships, which in the 1930s is just the technology that they had back then to be able to do that was really, really cool. Yeah. And for me, as a film person, I'm like, who's capturing this footage?
Right.
Like, how did they? Was there somebody hanging out of these ships with a camera?
That's incredible.
And there's, not as many safety regulations back then, so they probably were literally hanging out,
probably
capturing this footage. So it was really interesting to see that footage and to think about how they did that.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, sort of behind the scenes. What are you hoping that viewers will take away from this film? After watching it and learning from it.
I hope they take a sense of joy and pride, especially, viewers in Akron or other cities where there's airship bases, Florida, California. I think every time anybody sees the blimp up in the sky, they're like, oh, that's so cool. And hopefully after watching this, they'll see a lot of the heart that goes into it and, all of the crews over the last 100 years that have really kept it going.
Yeah. Do you... how can people, other than watching on PBS Western Reserve, how can people engage with the film, after this if they want to check it out again?
I believe it'll be posted on PBS Western Reserve, so stay tuned for that and stream it over and over and over. And learn all about the blimp.
Yeah, we will be airing it again.
I believe it's airing tomorrow night as well.
Yep, exactly. And it will also be available through Passport, which is our streaming service where people can, on demand, watch any of our local programs. So, well, thank you so much, Katie. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your experience?
I just, being the director of this was probably one of the best projects I'll ever get to work on, and I'm just grateful for all the crews and all the airships crews and the film crews, everybody that helped to make this happen. It's a really special project, and I'm so glad to finally be able to share it with everybody.
Yes, I'm glad we're premiering it this evening. Well, thank you so much for being with us. It was great to talk with you. Thanks for your behind-the-scenes view. And we are here live this evening with a special presentation of Icon in the Sky, 100 Years of the Goodyear Blimp. We're here with Katie Robinson, who is the film's director. And this evening, we have a dollar-for-dollar match on the table. When you contribute to PBS Western Reserve to support programming just like this, your contribution will be matched. So call the number on your screen or give online.
After the war, the world began to recover from World War II, and so did Goodyear and its airship program. As we got back into normal operations, we had the opportunity then to buy back some of the airships that we had sold to the Navy. So we bought 7 airships back from war assets. Almost right away, we put 5 of those back into service as PR airships. So they got repainted, rebranded, and sent on their way. And because of all of the innovation that happened during the war, and then that continued innovation post-war, which the country also saw was very important to the airship operations team as we moved into our next big thing for the Goodyear blimps.
So we're always experimenting on what we can do with the airship and ways we can be relatable to the public. In 1955, we pioneered the very first aerial broadcast from the Goodyear Blimp over the Rose Parade. And essentially, we just hung a giant studio camera out the side of the airship and used a microwave transmitter to get the signal back down to the ground. We worked with NBC on that day to provide that live coverage that had never been done before.
So we started going to any event that was televised, and eventually that rolled into going to any big event that we could find. Everybody says that if the blimp is there, you know it's a big event.
Just a few years after the first aerial coverage event, the blimp made an appearance at the first ever Daytona 500. And in 1967, the Goodyear Blimp Columbia broadcast Super Bowl I for CBS. For the next 30 years, the blimp would become a fixture at the event, covering 24 out of the first 30 Super Bowls. Since then, it has made appearances at some of the biggest events in sports and entertainment, from the Olympics to the World Series, Indy 500, NBA Finals, PGA Championships, College Football National Championship, and the Oscars. Still today, the blimp continues to make appearances at big events.
The Goodyear Blimp is iconic, especially at sports events. I mean, this says, this is huge, the blimp is here. I first started using the blimp as a director in 1987 at the US Open Tennis Championships. And it was really cool to be able to kind of show the breadth and scope of the tennis center and then zoom in to the match court where we were doing.
So we'll do some, I think we'll try to do some cool stuff from the, the blimp. All right, let's have a great show.
I would love to have the blimp on every show I do. And I really mean that. I grew up as a huge sports fan, so I started noticing the Goodyear Blimp in the 60s when I was a kid. And I've always kind of been a little bit enthralled by the blimp and seeing it at an event because it's dynamic in so many ways, especially with NASCAR, especially on golf, because you're able to see things and to get a perspective that you would not be able to get with any other view.
You're just like any other camera on the ground. You're listening to the director, you're taking cues on what to do according to what event you're covering. So in NASCAR during the race, like they're coming to you live, showing the action. So you're constantly engaged. The last thing you want to do is screw up and then nobody see who wins the race. So a lot of pressure on that as far as making sure you're a steady shot.
The blimp is an American tradition. I mean, it really is. In my eyes, it's part of sports culture where there's a big event going on, there's the blimp, and it really elevates it. It really makes it even that much more of a special event. When I first started racing, I was at Daytona, and my hotel room was on the beach, and I had the doors open because it was one of those nice days, and I kept hearing this noise, and what the hell is that? So I go outside, and it's a Goodyear Blimp, and the wind's blowing this way, and it's going that way. And I think I looked at the Goodyear Blimp for 3 hours because it was fighting the wind. I heard it and listened to it and saw it for a long time. And I'll never forget, I wonder what the guy in that thing is thinking right now.
There's a couple of things that are synonymous with every major sporting event, and that is the classic flyover, and that is the Goodyear Blimp being involved. I think people are always excited to see the Goodyear Blimp, especially at games. You know, sporting events have really, that's sort of the stamp that it's a major event if you see the blimp. I think that the aerial coverage that the blimp can provide is just indelible. Like the images that come out of the Goodyear Blimp with any major event are unparalleled. And I'm sure there are people that have tried for years to sort of mirror that or copy that to some degree, and it's just impossible. There's very few things, I think, in this world still anymore, where as soon as you see something, you sort of know what it means, you know what it represents, and you know what it brings, and that is hands down the Goodyear Blimp. And it doesn't matter the sport, it doesn't matter what you're a fan of. When you see that blimp, you know it's big.
Thank you so much for watching Icon in the Sky, 100 Years of the Goodyear Blimp. We hope you're enjoying the program, and we will get you right back to it. I'm Natalie Pillsbury, President and CEO of PBS Western Reserve, and I'm here with Lindsay Kunzman, our Chief Development Officer. And we are here to talk to you about supporting PBS Western Reserve and all of the local and national programs that you enjoy, just like the one you're watching right now. please consider making a contribution to support PBS Western Reserve by calling 1-800-672-4549 or giving online.
And when you make that donation, we have some incredible thank you gifts that we're going to be talking about in just a minute. One of which is this awesome t-shirt that Natalie and I are wearing. It is an exclusive design. You can only find it here at PBS Western Reserve. So call 1-800-672-4549.
And it's an important time to consider supporting PBS Western Reserve because this year we lost our federal funding. All of public media lost federal funding this year. And so for PBS Western Reserve, that means we have a $600,000 gap in our budget that we are working tirelessly to fill. And so we need our community to step up and contribute as generously as possible to support PBS Western Reserve so that we can remain strong and continue bringing you the local stories that you love and appreciate, that help open your eyes to the things happening in your community. So if that's meaningful to you and you're enjoying this program that we're sharing with you right now and other programs on PBS Western Reserve, please make a contribution to support PBS Western Reserve. Help us to remain strong. Call 1-800-672-4549.
And when you make that contribution to PBS Western Reserve, you can select one of the incredible thank you gifts that we have to offer. I think these are some of the best thank you gifts that we have ever offered here at PBS Western Reserve. We have a pack of trading cards. These are available at $5 a month. They feature Wingfoot 1, 2, and 3, and they have facts about all the blimps on the back of them. $10 a month gets you a collector item keychain. That one is awesome to me. It says Goodyear Airships crew, so it kind of feels like you're an official part of the blimp crew. If you're able to make a $19 a month donation, we have a set of 4 magnets. They feature historical blimps on them, including Goodyear's very first blimp, the Pilgrim. $24 a month gets you the t-shirt that Natalie and I are wearing. This one, it's long sleeve, heather blue, incredibly soft. You will not find that anywhere else. So $24 a month to PBS Western Reserve. In addition to that, we have a holiday package that's available as well. At $50 a month, you can select a Goodyear Blimp mug along with a Goodyear Blimp tree ornament. I love this ornament because it even is etched on the back. It's engraved with the words 100 years in the sky. So that would be an incredible item to give the aviation fan in your family. And finally, the item that I am most excited about tonight, this is limited edition. You will have no problem finding this. Well, you will have a problem finding this elsewhere because there are not many of these, but this at $100 a month is an authentic piece of fabric from the spirit of Goodyear. So this was the blimp that ran from 2000 to 2014. It is literally a piece of fabric from that blimp. $100 a month gets you that incredible thank you item. So please call the number on your screen, 1-800-672-4549.
I agree with Lindsay. These thank you gifts are so special and exclusive just for this program about the 100-year anniversary of the Goodyear Blimp. It's a piece of our community's history. So when you make a contribution, you'll get to take a piece of history home with you as a thank you gift. A very special offer that we have for this program is a drawing to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. This is only available through December 19th. When you make a contribution of any amount to PBS Western Reserve, you'll be automatically entered into the drawing to win a ride on the blimp. Now, this is extremely exclusive. This is not something that anyone could pay to ride on the blimp. No, it's something that Goodyear has generously offered to PBS Western Reserve as a very special drawing item for this show exclusively. So make your contribution of any amount, you'll be entered in that drawing to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. And right now we're going to bring you to a very special heartwarming story about a couple that was married on the Goodyear Blimp.
I have to tell you one story because my wife would be furious if I didn't. I got married on the Goodyear Blimp in Houston. And I met my wife on the blimp. She was a passenger. And I met her while conducting one of the promo flights for Goodyear in the Houston area. 3 years later, I asked her to marry me, and she said only if I could get married in the blimp. And I did not want to get married in my office. So I went to Goodyear and I said, look, I'm kind of stuck here. What are your guys' thoughts on getting married on the blimp? And they said, oh, that'd be a great idea. I said, oh, thanks a lot. So they made a big deal out of it, and it went international, and CNN picked it up. And one of my wife's clients was in Mexico City watching CNN and saw her get married on the Goodyear Blimp. And it was kind of a funny story.
I just loved learning about that story of romance on the Goodyear Blimp. You know, we're here with you right now to remind you about the need for support for public media and PBS Western Reserve. And the way to support us is by making a contribution. And when you make that contribution, you'll be automatically entered into a drawing to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. Now, this is very exclusive, and the way to get in on the drawing is to make a contribution of any amount. Maybe the amount that's right for you is $24 a month, and you'll get in on that ride, a drawing for a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. And you will get this great T-shirt that Lindsay and I are wearing, long sleeve. It has a exclusive logo design on the front here that was designed in-house by PBS Western Reserve. So maybe $24 a month is right for you, but if not, just give at the level that makes sense for you, and you'll get in on that drawing to win a ride on the blimp.
Yes.
Call 1-800-672-4549.
That drawing is absolutely incredible, but unfortunately, only one lucky person's going to win that. However, if you make a donation to PBS Western Reserve, you don't have to go home empty-handed, because we have so many amazing thank you gifts. These are the best thank you gifts I think we have ever offered. They are incredible. My favorite is the authentic piece of fabric from the Spirit of Goodyear Blimp. This is available at a $100 a month donation, and you will not find this in too many places. It is limited edition, and it is limited. So make that a $100 a month donation. Take home a piece of fabric of the blimp. Maybe you're not able to do the $100 a month donation, but you know what? Maybe $50 is right for you. At $50, you can take home our holiday package. There is a mug available for all your hot beverages this cold season, and an ornament that features on the back an etching that says 100 years in the sky. That's an incredible package at $50 a month. Call the number on your screen at 1-800-672-4549, and you'll be able to hear about all the different thank you gifts we have to offer.
And of course, don't forget that any contribution will get you entered into that drawing to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. Now, this is something that it really is not available to the public, so we're so excited to be able to offer this ride to a lucky winner. But you know, you're not going to win unless you make a contribution and get in on that drawing. You can, you know, it's really a once-in-a-lifetime experience getting to ride on this iconic Goodyear Blimp. And what better time to do it than during the 100th year anniversary of the blimp. We will be getting you back to the program shortly, and you can continue learning about the blimp. But right now, we're asking you to make a contribution to support PBS Western Reserve. We are your local nonprofit public media organization. We produce stories about our local community here in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania. If that's meaningful to you and you want to help keep public media strong for our community, make a contribution right now. Thank you.
So the 1960s was the next exciting period for the Goodyear Blimp. And so now Goodyear's been operating airships for 35, almost 40 years, and they've come a long way. And we really started to weave ourselves into the fabric of America. So going to those big events and really getting into the public mindset that if the Goodyear Blimp is there, it's a really big event. And that really carried us forward into the next era of driving that innovation, making sure that the blimp was really parts of these big events wherever they were happening.
By 1960, more than 90% of American households had a TV set, a 900% increase from just one decade earlier. This shift in American culture and the blimp's ability to provide aerial coverage springboarded the airship into the public eye, giving it exposure to millions more people than it previously reached by flying over towns across America.
Kind of like in the early days where we were literally taking airships to crowds, now the crowds were kind of coming to you via this television platform and the aerial coverage that the airship was providing for folks. Because of that, we needed to change our technology just a little, so kind of another step forward in innovation for us. The 1960s airships and the GZ-19 model specifically was built around the sign technology and the aerial coverage, the aerial TV piece of technology. So at this time we had airships being built out of Akron, Ohio. We had a base in Florida for a time, in the Miami area, and we've been going back and forth between Ohio or even sometimes New York and Los Angeles for a long time now, since the very early airships. So we opened a base in Spring, Texas near Houston, which at the time was a big and growing city, and also provided us the ability to come out of a home base within a few hundred nautical miles and reach all of those Southwest events now. We were really able to cover all of America at this point.
1969 would introduce the next generation of blimps, the GZ-20 model. This would be the longest-running blimp model, soaring through the skies for over 40 years.
The GZ-20 is very physical. He had the rudder pedals and a wheel and a throttle, and not too much in the way of really clever stuff. Technically, you had to be very aggressive with them. I took my training. The chief pilot would make sure we got up in windy days. And I mean, oh my God, how many go-arounds it took to finally get lined up. You know, okay, I got it, and the wind shifts and the ship takes off this way. And you're dragging about 3 guys with them, and everybody's yelling, let go, let go! And when you get back on the ground, crewmen will walk up with the grass in their ear and fingernails and going, that landing sucked.
You had to physically be strenuously sometimes moving the controls around to get the airship to do what you wanted it to do. It was like cruising down the road in a mid-60s muscle car, and it was just super fun. Like, you could feel it in your organs. Like, it was just a raw power type of an aircraft, and systems, and the engines were right there outside the windows, and it was just a really unique old school experience.
Meanwhile, the blimp had gone global. In the early 1970s, a crew was sent to Cardington, England, where they built the Europa, an airship that would cover events across the UK and Western Europe.
So we sent parts overseas. We had all of the pre-manufactured parts here in the United States. We shipped them, which the shipping itself was pretty unique because it was in one of the Super Guppies, but it carried all the parts over to England, where these airships were built in the Cardington hangars, which were also very well-known hangars, old World War II airship hangars. So we put together a base similar to where we had expanded into Spring, Texas. We built a very similar base in Capena, Italy, which is just outside of Rome. And the airship operated there for about the next 15 years. So it traveled all over Europe, just like what we traveled here in the United States. Got to see lots of unique sights, lots of very recognizable places that the airship stopped by. We have some fantastic pictures with things like the Colosseum and the Grand Canal in Venice, and lots of stops in Europe for the airship team over there. We were actually present at the wedding between Prince Charles and Lady Diana, and we were there in the skies watching the thing, helping from a video capture content standpoint and participating in the party, basically.
By the 1980s, the Goodyear Blimp had been appearing at big events around the world for decades, securing its place as a cultural icon.
We started to show up in places again that we had never imagined ourselves being in world pop culture, basically. And so many unique moments of the blimp popping up in TV shows and on movies, or taking part in shooting movies, being part of the movie itself. So we were playing 2 roles in some cases, even being made into cartoons with The Simpsons, and just a little bit of everything.
They did make several movies with airships in them, like Hidden Valley, of course, Black Sunday in the 70s.
I think it's one of the best blimp movies ever made because there's such great blimp footage in it.
I did a lot of TV shows, way back, when it was the only blimp in town, right? The Merv Griffin show. And I did a 2-hour show with David Letterman over New York City.
I think there's a song about that We've Got the Blimp.
You ever watch golf or football? You wonder where they get those aerial shots?
The blimp also made appearances in Scarface, The Lawrence Welk Show, Ally McBeal, and even in an Ice Cube song.
Even saw the lights of the Goodyear Blimp, and it read Ice Cube's a pimp.
It Was a Good Day is my biggest song, and that's a part in my show. When I do Good Day, when I mention, the Goodyear Blimp, everybody in the arena says the line, you know what I mean? Having a good day is great, but the Goodyear Blimp is epic, so it was just a way to me to put a cherry on top of the day. Everybody knows that when the blimp is up, it's gotta be an epic event going on. If you don't see the blimp, it ain't that big, baby.
So the blimp really became its own celebrity, and because of that, there was a huge draw to it. It was an icon, people wanted to see it, people wanted to get close to it.
With this celebrity status and the demand for blimp rides growing, the blimp found a way to give back to the community.
One of the things we do with the blimp is we provide rides to local charities. I think the reason we do that, number one, it's good for the charity. They need money and we can help. But there's a demand for people wanting to ride in the blimp. And we can't really sell tickets for people to ride on the blimp, but we can funnel that through a charity.
I think their biggest charity now is in conjunction with the Marine Corps at Christmas time. They do the Toys for Tots, and they hype it on the night sign. They even have Santa Claus in the hangar in Akron.
People come in and they drive through. They get just a chance to drive under or near the airship and see it up close through our hangar. With the decorations and all, they're handing off toys to the Marines. I mean, it's an awesome event.
That's why we're here, is to make people smile, to give people rides, to be a part of our community, to give back. Some of the best things that I've ever seen are when people get on the airship and they come off and they've got this huge smile on their face and they've just gotten the ride of a lifetime. And, sometimes we're here all the time and we look past that because we see the airship every day and we forget what that means. But that's really the whole point of the airship, is to be a part of our community, to give back, and to put smiles on people's faces. This is the best job ever. I don't know how you could get any better than this job right here.
We hope you've enjoyed learning about what it's like to take a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. I didn't realize, how the blimp was used for charitable purposes in the community. So that's just really incredible to learn. I'm Natalie Pillsbury, President and CEO of PBS Western Reserve, and I'm here with Lindsay Kuntzman, our Chief Development Officer. We are just taking a short break as you're enjoying Icon in the Sky, 100 Years of the Goodyear Blimp, to talk to you about supporting PBS Western Reserve. We are a nonprofit public media organization, and we can only bring you shows like the one you're watching right now when we have strong support from our community. So we're here live live asking for that support. We have a very special drawing where you can actually win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. So when you make a contribution right now by calling the number on your screen or giving online, you could be the lucky winner of a ride on the Goodyear Blimp for yourself and a friend that you would like to bring along with you. So very special drawing going on right now when you contribute to PBS Western Reserve.
And you can make that donation when you call 1-800-672-4549. And while only one lucky winner is going to get that ride on the blimp with a friend, you don't have to go home empty-handed if you make a donation tonight, because we have some incredible thank you gifts. I think these are the best thank you gifts that we have offered here at PBS Western Reserve. When you make a gift of $5 a month, you have the opportunity to take home with you 3 trading cards. These feature the Wingfoot 1, 2, and 3 blimps. They have facts on the back of the blimps, on the back of the blimp cards, and I think these would be incredible. If you got these framed, they would make such a wonderful holiday present for someone who's maybe a blimp enthusiast or an aviation enthusiast, but those are available at $5 a month. We also have this great keychain. It says Airships Crew on it. It is, I think, it would make you feel like an official part of the blimp crew if you were carrying that around on your keys. At $19 a month, we have a 4-piece set of magnets featuring historical blimps, going all the way back to the very first blimp, the Pilgrim. We also have, you've probably noticed, these awesome shirts that Natalie and I are wearing tonight. These are limited edition, exclusive for just PBS Western Reserve. They are available at $24 a month. You will not find them anywhere else. We only have them here at PBS Western Reserve. If you're able to make a $30 month donation, we have this incredible hat with the propeller in the 1925, the start date of when the blimp launched. That is available for $30 a month. And with that $30 a month, you will get that entry automatically into the giveaway to perhaps win a ride on the blimp. It would be a great photo op if you're wearing this hat while you're riding the blimp, I think.
I agree.
So yeah, make that donation right now, and you'll also know that you are supporting PBS Western Reserve. We also have what I'm calling our holiday package. We have this great Goodyear Blimp mug along with this Goodyear Blimp ornament. These are available together at $50 a month. I really like this ornament because it does say celebrating 100 years in the sky on the back of it. So again, $50 a month. I think we have saved the best for last, though.
I agree.
We have an authentic piece of fabric from the Spirit of Goodyear Blimp. This is available at $100 a month. You will be taking home this piece of fabric from the blimp, and you're going to feel good knowing that you are supporting PBS Western Reserve with that $100 a month donation. And who knows, you might get a ride on the blimp. You could be that lucky winner. Call 1-800-672-4549 or visit our website to make that contribution.
Yes, we are here live with you right now because we need to raise the funds for our organization to remain strong moving into the next fiscal calendar year. We are about to wrap up 2025, and we've seen a great show of support from the community, but we still have a ways to go to raise the funds needed. So with your support, PBS Western Reserve will continue bringing you shows like the one you're enjoying right now. We're going to take a little break to share a heartwarming story about a couple who got married on the blimp.
I have to tell you one story because my wife would be furious if I didn't. I got married on the Goodyear Blimp in Houston, and I met my wife on the blimp. She was a passenger, and I met her while conducting one of the promo flights for Goodyear in the Houston area. 3 years later, I asked her to marry me, and she said only if I could get married in the blimp. And I did not want to get married in my office. So I went to Goodyear and I said, look, I'm kind of stuck here. what are your guys' thoughts on getting married on the blimp? And they said, oh, that'd be a great idea. I said, oh, thanks a lot. So they made a big deal out of it, and it went international, and CNN picked it up. And one of my wife's clients was in Mexico City watching CNN and saw her get married on the Goodyear Blimp. And it was kind of a funny story.
What an incredible story about a couple that truly was brought together by the blimp. Now, you might not be able to get married on the blimp, but by making a contribution to PBS Western Reserve right now, you will be automatically entered in a drawing to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. So when you make your contribution, you're automatically entered. If you're the lucky winner, you'll have the chance to bring a friend on that blimp ride. It really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity,
Yes.
and something that you need to act now and make a contribution to get in on that drawing. So call that number on your screen, 1-800-672-4549, and get in on the drawing to win that ride on the blimp.
Yes, and you know, there is only going to be one lucky winner, but we have some incredible thank you gifts. So you're not going to go home empty-handed if you make a donation tonight. We have what I think are some of the best thank you gifts we've ever offered here at PBS Western Reserve. One of my favorites is this keepsake blimp. We have an authentic piece of the spirit of Goodyear Blimp here. So you can literally take home a piece of the blimp with you for $100 a month. That $100 a month is going to support PBS Western Reserve. It supports the local programs that you enjoy, like Icon in the Sky. It supports national programs like PBS NewsHour and Antiques Roadshow. It supports our educational services to benefit our community. We need you to step up right now. We have had such an incredible outpouring of support from the community. We are at 85% of our fundraising goal for 2025. I know we can get to 100% if everyone watching steps up and makes a contribution. Any amount will help us get to our fundraising goal. Act now before the end of the calendar year. Call 1-800-672-4549 or go ahead and visit our website.
Yes, it's quick and easy to make that contribution, and you'll feel good knowing that you're helping to keep this community institution strong for the coming year. We truly rely on support from our community to do all of the work we do in the local community, telling stories, bringing you documentaries like the one you're watching, and bringing educational services programs to children and families throughout our community. So make that contribution now, and when you do, we have a really special benefit available to donors that contribute $60 or more annually, and that is Passport. Passport is our streaming service that when you become a supporter of PBS Western Reserve at that $60 a month level or higher, you will have access to this entire library of PBS programs, prior seasons of shows that you've loved and maybe you haven't gotten to watch seasons that weren't on air. All of our local programs are also available on demand through Passport. So that is an incredible benefit for our contributors at that $60 level or higher. But we're asking you to take action now. When you make a contribution, you'll automatically be entered in that drawing to win a ride on the blimp. You can go online to make your contribution, check out all the thank you gifts that we have available, choose the one that's right for you, and it's quick and easy to make that contribution.
Yes, and one thing that we should mention, PBS Western Reserve is a nonprofit organization. So that means when you make your donation, it is tax deductible. And there are so many ways you can make a donation. You can do cash, check, credit card. We take qualified charitable donations. We take IRA gifts, donor advised fund. Call the number on your screen or visit our website right now.
Over the years, the blimp found itself in some unlikely situations and found a different way to help its community during difficult times.
Specifically during the 1989 World Series, and that's the World Series where there was an earthquake in San Francisco. The airship was there because it was a huge event. It's the World Series, it's a big event, the blimp was there. And we were providing aerial coverage for ABC at the time, and the earthquake happened while we were up filming the game. And it was a really traumatic event around specifically the San Francisco area, but really all of California, and that spread really quickly because of the viewership on TV and things like that. Now it was kind of one of the first major world catastrophes that everybody knew about very quickly.
During the game, all of a sudden we heard a lot of noise from the production people, and I looked back at the hill where by Candlestick Park, and I could see rocks and boulders coming down the side of the hill. And I thought, holy moly, the baseball game became secondary. And then we started saying, can you fly towards downtown and see what's going on? I said, sure. So as we started heading towards the Bay Bridge, as I got closer, I realized that one of the sections of the bridge had collapsed and a car was hanging over the edge of it.
You're looking right now at a live shot from the Goodyear Blimp, which of course was out there hovering over San Francisco for a much different purpose tonight.
They kept us in the air for about 12 hours that day, filming what we saw from the earthquake. And the unique thing is San Francisco skyline at night is fantastic, except that day, half of the city was lit. The other half was in darkness. And as we flew down towards the Golden Gate Bridge, I noticed people were in the intersections directing traffic because the cops were too busy taking care of other things. They said, we want you to start talking when we give you the cue and tell us everything you see.
345, this is John Creighton talking. From the Goodyear Blimp, Columbia. We're over San Francisco, and we just got a report from the San Francisco Tower that they've done quite a bit of damage there. Also, we were over the Bay Bridge when it collapsed. We were listening to the rescue helicopters by the Coast Guard. We understand that 3 people were evacuated by helicopter from the Bay Bridge, and they are now addressing.
We found ourselves right back in that similar situation just a few years later when Hurricane Andrew hit Florida and really caused a lot of devastation across the southern parts of the state. And made it so there was no power, people didn't know where to go.
We were in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, when President Bush asked our CEO if they could use the Goodyear Blimp to fly over the affected areas of Homestead area down in South Miami because they had no power. Everything was a mess, the base, everything was a mess after the hurricane. But we flew over for 8 to 12 hours a day and fly our night sign with lights flashing. For example, if you need medical help, because remember, nobody had even transistor radios or batteries for them or anything there was no TV, there was no power, nothing. So we would flash these messages saying, if you see the red balloon up, go there for medical reasons. If you see a blue balloon, that's for water. They could go to these different balloons. And that worked out really well because it got everybody to know what was going on because they couldn't find anything out other than with the blimp.
The blimp continued on, crossing into the new millennium, and major changes were on the horizon. In 2011, the biggest change in the history of its airships program was announced: a new generation of Goodyear blimps. The new airships would be a completely new style, designed to be faster and more maneuverable than the previous GZ20 model. The new model, known as NT, as in new technology, was created by Zeppelin and included an internal framework of carbon fiber and aluminum, allowing vectoring engines to be mounted on the envelope rather than the side of the passenger gondola. For the first time ever, the Goodyear Blimp would technically no longer be a blimp, but a semi-rigid airship.
At that time, we knew the GZ20s were ending their life. Everything has a life. Everything has a lifespan. So that airship was nearing its end of its life. We knew that. And so we were looking for what's the next generation of airships. So we ended up in Germany and we were speaking with the Zeppelin Corporation. We got to see the airship. And then from there, that was our real viable option that we felt that was turnkey, that would fit our needs.
It does so many things that we just couldn't do before. It's very quiet. It's much bigger. We can carry more weight. It's better for aerial platform because we can actually hover, we can hold still, we can move around, we can do an air show with it. But in order to get there, the crews had to work really hard. The pilots had to work really hard because what we found was that the 90 years of airship experience we had before that didn't carry over quite as much as we hoped it would. And the helium inside was literally the only thing that really was the same between the old GZ series airships and the new NT style airships. So we had to relearn what ground support meant. We had to relearn how to travel. We literally did trips from Wingfoot Lake to Akron Fulton Airport. That's 6.5 miles. And we failed twice before we got there. But once we did get there and we figured this airship out, it opened up doors and capability that really allowed us to drive innovation, that really allowed us to take the next step and really brought us back into that point of relevance again.
Not everyone embraced this change.
So I think it's always funny because one of the things that was kind of a personal warm spot in a lot of people's heart was the noise that the GZ-20 airships used to make. On the same coin, we would get complaints for noise all the time with the old airships, especially when we were up in Cleveland or Los Angeles in the middle of the night and an event ended at midnight and we had to grind home into a wind. We don't have that noise footprint that we used to have. We joke that we need some kind of loudspeaker that pipes out GZ-20 noise between 8 and 4, and then we turn the noise off and we fly fast at night when nobody knows we're there. So it's cool to me that even the noise of the blimp is something that people recognize, and they still do with the new one. It's just you have to be outside to hear it.
While drastically different from the old-style blimps, the new airships brought some welcome changes for the pilots.
We have a really cool capability where the engines articulate. And so similar to an Osprey that you'd seen in the military, our engines will swivel up and we add power and we can take off vertically, kind of like a helicopter. It makes us really efficient for takeoff. And then when we go into cruise flight and we want max forward speed, we swivel down horizontal and then it propels us forward. So it's a really efficient way for blimps to fly.
The NT model Goodyear Blimp can still be seen flying the skies today. 3 blimps currently operate in the U.S., with airship bases near Akron, Ohio, Los Angeles, California, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Abroad, an NT model airship from Zeppelin is based in Essen, Germany.
Thank you so much for tuning into this very special live premiere presentation of Icon in the Sky, 100 Years of the Goodyear Blimp. I am so excited to be here with Michael Doherty, the chief pilot for the Goodyear Blimp. Thank you so much for being with us, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fantastic.
Well, and you really are one of the stars of the documentary, so it's our pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks. This was a lot of fun. We worked hard on this one, and I think it's a great overview of where blimps have been and hopefully where we're going.
Yes, I've learned a lot. And I just want to remind everyone watching right now that we are here live this evening with some very special reasons to support PBS Western Reserve and programming just like this documentary that you're watching right now. We have a dollar for dollar match on the table just for this program. So you're going to want to contribute and get in on that. And everyone who contributes this evening will be entered twice into a drawing for a chance to ride on the Goodyear Blimp. And with that, I'll turn to you. We have some questions for you. If you could just share with us, what was your most memorable flight? I know you've been a pilot for a while. Is there one that stands out?
A couple of them for me. I'm obviously an aviation nerd anyway, but I had an opportunity when we flew at Oshkosh, which is one of the world's biggest air shows anyway. A couple of years back in the old style airship, actually, I flew Captain Sully from the Hudson River flight and his first officer, Jeff Skiles, so that was fantastic because you get to meet somebody like that that's become sort of a national hero of his own, and just everything that you expected him to be. And then just a couple years later, we went back to Oshkosh again with the new airship and kind of its big debut, and I got to fly Commander Jim Lovell there. And so, he was a fantastic ride. He asked all kind of good questions, better than most of our pilots do when they're learning how to fly, which was really funny. But then he turned around, he handed his phone to his friend. He said, "You got to take a picture. I can send to my son. He'll never believe I was on the blimp." And I'm thinking, we've been to the moon and back, man. But it just really kind of struck me as how, unique the airship really is, that somebody like that has so much fun doing something that's so different from what they're used to doing. So that was just really cool for me.
Wow, that's incredible. And you've gotten to meet so many special people, I'm sure, throughout your career. Have you ever had surprising or funny interactions with people on the ground? Can you see, or are you able to pay attention to what people are doing?
Yeah, I mean, when we're flying and you see people wave, you can wave back and they can see us, which is so fun cool. Anyway. I think one of the funniest things that ever happened to me is I was flying with another pilot. We were just transiting the airship from somewhere in Alabama, I think, back to Ohio. And it was kind of a long day anyway. And in the old airship, we didn't have the same technology we do in the new one, where we could get XM radio and some cool stuff, So we had this old device in there where you could pick up some radio stations once in a while. And we were flying over a place apparently called Burkesville, Kentucky. And I looked it up later on. It's a town of like 3,000 people, single traffic light town, but it has a country radio station based there. And we're flying over and like, oh, cool, we found a radio station. It might last for a few miles, and all of a sudden the music fades out and this lady comes on out of breath. Everybody in Burkesville, go outside. The blimp is overhead Burkesville. What are the odds? And then she's going on, and then it just fades right back into the country music. And we looked at each other and we're like, did that really just happen? We looked down and we're like, apparently this is Burkesville, Alabama. Or Kentucky. It was really funny. It was just something that you wouldn't get in an airplane. It was an airship only experience, I think, but it was really funny.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. That's incredible. Do you have any favorite landscapes or events to fly over?
I mean, I like the diversity and get to see a little bit of everything. And most of our pilots, a lot of our crews do too. So that's really cool just to see everything from, East Coast flying and oceans and palm trees to the high desert to the Los Angeles Valley and the mountains. It's really cool. And I've had the opportunity to fly on our Blimp Europe as well. So gorgeous in since southern Germany and areas around there. Just it's really cool to be able to see all the different landscapes that you can see from the airship, because it's like, going about the speed of your car and you're 500 to 1,000 feet above the ground, so you don't miss anything going by. It's really unique.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine what that experience must be like. So do passengers, when they ride on the blimp for the first time, do they react differently than maybe if they were riding on an airplane? And how does it feel different? I mean, you sort of described just now ways, but are there other ways?
Yeah, I think that unique experience of just being able to see everything like it's right there. And the windows in the airship are huge. You're used to an airplane that has a little tiny window, and you kind of stick your head in there and you can sort of see things go by at 500 miles an hour. And we're going 35 or 40 miles an hour, and we're so close to the ground. People can see where they live. They can see the roads they drive on every day. They can see people waving to them and they wave back. So it's just such a unique experience that everybody, I think it surprises them at first maybe, but everybody really enjoys that kind of unique experience that they've a lot of times we hear over and over that this is so cool, it's not what I expected, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's like a boat ride in the sky.
Wow, yeah, that's a great way to describe it, boat ride in the sky. How is the blimp maintained, or a blimp maintained between flights? What goes into preparing it between?
Yeah, it's a very labor-intensive aircraft. We have crews of about 20 people. We have 3 crews. We have one based here in that greater Akron area. We have one near Pompano Beach in Fort Lauderdale area in Florida, and one in LA. So about 80 people across the country that take care of these things, and 20 of those guys are specifically aircraft mechanics that take care of them. So those guys do a great job keeping us running from nose to tail. It's a very specific type of aircraft to learn how to fly, but also to learn how to work on. And then the rest of our crews, we have our own broadcast technicians. So when you see those guys in the sky, they're doing the job up there, and it's all internal. And then we have a bunch of additional support for our ground support, and then our general crewmen that really take care of it, because the blimp can never be left alone. Somebody has to be with it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And all of those crewmen really do that job. So we couldn't do it without the crews. People see the pilots quite a bit on stuff like this, but the crews are really the ones that make things happen in the background. So we really, it's a very family team oriented environment, but it's really great. We get a lot of great people on the team to make the airships keep flying.
Yeah, with very specific knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody does something a little different.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And so just one final question. What made you become a fan of blimps or interested in blimps and pursue this career?
Well, it's such a unique aircraft, and the history of it was really a draw for me. But just being able to share the experience with the people was one of the coolest things for me, because it's not like anything else in aviation, even corporate aviation, where you get to know some people, but not in the same way as what we do, to greet the passengers and guests that we have on the airship. So just really unique experience for me, and I think that was a big draw for me.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for being with us and for taking our questions. It was really great talking with you.
Thank you.
So, we are here live during this special presentation of Icon in the Sky. We're here with Michael Doherty, who is the chief pilot of the Goodyear Blimp. And when you contribute to PBS Western Reserve right now, your gift is matched dollar for dollar. We'll get you back to the program.
The Blimp fleet requires a large crew with diverse skills to operate. About 20 people, 2 massed trucks, and 7 total ground support vehicles follow the Blimp from the ground while it flies to events.
It's a lot of people. We have mechanics, heavy-duty mechanics, diesel mechanics, pilots, public relations. So it's a big group that takes us to run an airship. It's just not a bunch of people running out to catch a Blimp.
It's not the 8 to 5 weekends off kind of job. It's a very open schedule kind of job. You gotta be committed. You've got to be flexible. You have this is not a job. It's a lifestyle, and you have to live it. You don't work it.
Day-to-day activities in airships are always different. So there's never 2 days that are alike. That's one of the great things with airships, that you never get bored.
It's not like another aircraft where it can just be parked and be set. It's always moving. It's full of helium. As the helium heats up, the ship gets lighter. As it cools down, it gets heavier. And so we have someone here to compensate for all of that, because we don't want it to get too heavy. We don't want to get too light. It's almost like a living, breathing thing, which is very unique.
Very interesting job. It had many aspects to it. It just wasn't the typical go to work and do the same thing over and over again. Each day, each flight was different, and each time we went up to do a TV event, there was always something that came up that was unexpected. I used to interact with the passengers every day. I'd walk them out to the ship, we'd chit-chat, we'd get in the Blimp, I'd tell them stories about the Blimp and give them a chance to sit in the pilot seat when it was safe. And they were thrilled. And I could tell when they got off the ship that they were going to tell Grandma, Grandpa, Uncle, and aunts all about their Blimp ride and the great pilot they had.
We do travel up to, give or take, 100 days a year. That's just a whole different way of work. We leave here with 20 people, the ship, all of our equipment and vehicles and everything, and we hit the road. We're completely self-contained everywhere we go, so we have to take all that stuff.
I just feel blessed, every time I fly or do something like that, I just think of, there aren't too many people that get to have this experience, and I never let that pass me by. I always take that moment to think about that when I'm out working. We have just such a unique job, and there aren't very many people that get to even see the airship, let alone ride in it, or ride in it multiple times and be working behind the scenes. And you're on top of stadiums, you just get such a unique view behind the scenes of everything that's going on.
Managing such a unique vehicle comes with some challenges.
The biggest challenge is the physical part of the job. So when we talk about working on the airship, the engines themselves are 30 feet in the air. So when we're traveling and we're on the road and we're out and about, and we need to go up and do an inspection, or we have to go up and change oil, or we have to do some sort of maintenance function on the engines, they're 30 feet in the air. And so to do that, we have special scaffolding that we hoist up to the engines, and they work on the engines when they're outside.
One of the unique things about airships from the very beginning was the way that we parked them. You can't just roll up onto a ramp or park it at a gate like you do an airliner. We have to secure it somehow. The old airships used a mast that generally was fixed to the ground with cables and stakes. And with the new technology, one of the advancements that we have with the NT is that we're able to use a mast truck. The advantage of that is that you can fold the mast truck all down and take it with you when you go somewhere. Any way that you cut it, when you park it at the end of the night, it's the biggest windsock on the field. We have to take care of it all the time. It's a really big responsibility that we train all of our crew members for. So a lot of people don't understand, or they think that we pack it up, we put it on a truck, and we drive it to the next location. That's not the case. It flies everywhere it goes, but it's never left alone. It's a very needy aircraft, but it's worth taking care of, because when you're part of the team that gets to operate the Icon of the Sky, it's an honor to do the job, and it's a lot of fun to travel with.
The Goodyear Blimp flies over dozens of cities every year, creating a spectacle along the way.
We'll land at a local municipal, uncontrolled, untowered airport, park the ship out on a piece of grass, big open land somewhere, and then the people will show up along the fence line, basically, as close as they can get to the blimp. Nothing makes me feel better than seeing other people that interested in what I'm doing to come out of their way, to come out to the airport and stand at the fence to ask questions. So I try to take some time and go over there and talk to the people. And they have a lot of good questions. They're excited to see the blimp. The number one question they always have is, what are you doing here? They want to know, why is this blimp in my town? So usually when it's a small town like that, we're on our way from point A to point B, and we're stopping somewhere along the way to get there. But yeah, it's fun to talk to them.
It's one of the things I really like going into smaller towns, because it becomes a spectacle, and you just see how much you light up people's faces and how much joy you bring to them.
It takes a true love and passion for the airships to keep them flying for 100 years.
I'm here for the love, definitely. Anybody in aviation has to have a passion for it. You're doing it every single day. What we get to do here is even more unique and more passion to it, because it's such an American icon, and we constantly get people coming in, passengers that are just so excited to be here. You get reminded all the time of how cool this job is.
I loved it the first time I got in the blimp. I still love it today. The flying is different. It doesn't fly like an airplane or a helicopter. There's a little bit of an art to it. It takes a lot of feel. We call it seat of your pants flying. You have to feel what the ship is doing, what the wind is doing while you're flying it. And it's really the only aircraft I know of in the world that's like that to this day. That's super enjoyable, and I get a lot out of that.
I got married on the Goodyear Blimp in Houston, and I met my wife on the blimp. She was a passenger. 3 years later, I asked her to marry me, and she said, only if I could get married in the blimp.
To work here, it's a privilege. I think it is, because it's the Goodyear Blimp. Come on, it's the Goodyear Blimp, and not everybody gets to work on it. Now I'm the old guy training the new kids, so being trained by the older gentlemen, by Goodyear employees back then, those guys were awesome. I call them my Goodyear dads. They taught me how to drive a Kenworth truck. They taught me to drive an MCI bus. I was 20 years old. I learned how to run cables, swedge cables, inspect night compressed cables and stuff like that.
But it's not only the love from the airships teams themselves that has carried the blimp through the years. It's the love from the fans.
People get emotional about it because it means something to their family. And that's the important thing. That connection is so strong, and that connection is so important.
I have two sons. I have identical twins, and they both have autism. And one of the things when they were little is we walked them around the blimp. And we did that every Sunday morning with them, and they got to see the blimp, and it was always the blimp. We had the opportunity last month to take them up. I didn't look outside the window much. I watched them. My kids have never flown. So this was huge.
I am an artist. I consider myself a pictorial painter, mural painter, sign painter. I love painting the Goodyear Blimp. There's something about the sky reflecting off the blimp, and you kind of see it go like that. A friend of mine was like, hey man, that blimp painting was my favorite blimp painting, and he had access to this billboard. It's these moments that like sing the blimp I painted in the sky, and I put it in the sky. What else do you see up in the sky that's 100 years old? Something like, I'm still here, like, you know, these legs are still working.
It's something that people always recognize. People always get excited about it. There's never a person on the beach that doesn't point and say, look, there's the blimp going by.
There's nothing like the blimp. I've been in a lot of things, but there's nothing like the blimp. Who doesn't love the blimp? I had conversations this morning with some of my customers and tell them, hey, I'm heading over to the blimp today. And they all had stories about their kids when they were young, and their kids would look up and say, there's the blimp, there's the blimp. I think by far in Los Angeles, the blimp might be more iconic than our Hollywood sign.
If you were to look at my office, you would think I work for Goodyear. It's completely covered with blimp memorabilia. And I've flown on the blimp 7 times. Of course, people think I'm a little bit crazy because I do. I just tell stories all the time. I can't stop it. It's just something I really enjoy, and it helps me relive it a little bit. You just cannot mistake the sound. Now, I would be in my apartment in Akron, and I could hear the sound coming, and all of a sudden, run to the window, run out to the porch, and just be able to watch it in the sunlight. I won't live anywhere where there's not a blimp. I moved to Florida knowing that there was a blimp down here. So if there's not a blimp around, I don't want to live there.
Thank you for watching Icon in the Sky, 100 Years of the Goodyear Blimp. We'll get you back to the show shortly. I'm Natalie Pillsbury, President and CEO of PBS Western Reserve, and I'm here with Lindsay Kuntzman, our Chief Development Officer. And we are here to talk to you about supporting PBS Western Reserve. We are a nonprofit public media organization that relies on our community to support this organization. You can easily make a contribution by calling the number on your screen, 1-800-672-4549, or give online.
And we have so many reasons why you should be giving tonight. We've got incredible thank you gifts that we'll be talking about in just a couple minutes here. I think the one, Natalie, that I am most excited about is an authentic piece of fabric from the Spirit of Goodyear Blimp.
That is a cool one.
It is so cool. So we'll be talking more about that coming up.
Yes, it's so important that everyone watching right now make a contribution to support PBS Western Reserve. We are a nonprofit public media organization, and this year we lost federal funding, which means that we have a $600,000 budget gap to fill. We've seen a great outpouring of support from the community, but there is still room to make up in order to stay on track with our budget. So your contribution right now will help this public media organization that serves our communities here in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania to remain strong. Call 1-800-672-4549 or give online to support us now.
And when you give online, like we said, we've got some incredible thank you gifts tonight. We have these limited edition trading cards. They feature Wingfoot 1, 2, and 3, and they can be yours with a $5 a month donation. That $5 a month helps keep PBS Western Reserve strong, and if you have any aviation fans in your family, you could be gifting them these trading cards. If you're able to make a $10 a month donation, we have this collector item keychain. It has Goodyear Airships crew, so you can feel like you're a part of the team that operates the Goodyear Blimp when you carry that around. Maybe you think, you know what, I could give a little bit more than just $10. I think I could support PBS Western Reserve with a $19 a month donation. And when you do that, you could pick up the historical blimp magnet set. It has 4 of these magnets. I think it's so cool. It even features the Pilgrim, which was the very first blimp that was operated by Goodyear back in 1925. If you notice, Natalie and I are wearing these limited edition shirts that have a design of a blimp and the PBS Western Reserve logo on them. They're long sleeve, they're this nice navy heather blue color. They could be yours for a $24 a month donation. They are incredibly comfortable. Again, if there's any aviation fans in your family, now would be the time to get one of these shirts. You're supporting PBS Western Reserve, and you could give this shirt as a gift to someone. If you are able to make a $30 a month contribution, we have the flagship hat available for you. $30 a month gets you this navy blue, soft, low profile hat. It has a little propeller on it, and 1925 when the blimp started operating. If you're able to give $50 a month, then we have our holiday package. It features a mug with the Goodyear Blimp and a Goodyear Blimp ornament. I love this ornament. It's engraved in the back saying 100 years in the sky. Comes with a silver ribbon, so it'd look great hanging up in a Christmas tree if you celebrate. That is our holiday package. These are both limited edition items. And then finally, the item that I am most excited to talk about tonight. At $100 a month, you could take home an authentic piece of fabric from the spirit of Goodyear. This piece of fabric I learned came from the envelope of the spirit of Goodyear, which is where all of the gases come out of. Ooh. These are very limited, so you want to call 1-800-672-4549 right now so you can pick up one of these limited edition items.
Yes, all of these incredible thank you gifts are so special and only available during this program, Icon in the Sky, about the 100 years of the Goodyear Blimp. So we hope that you make the choice to contribute right now and select one of these really exciting items. But, you know, we have something even more exciting to share with you right now. PBS Western Reserve has a ride on the Goodyear Blimp that we are going to be selecting a winner from a drawing to ride on the Goodyear Blimp. This drawing is available when you make a contribution. You're automatically entered, and you have until December 19th to get in on the drawing. But this is for a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. These are not available, you know, broadly
Anywhere
to the
else.
public. So this is extremely special, and you're going to want to make a contribution to make sure that you get in on this drawing and that you can ride on the Goodyear Blimp. Coming up right now, we have a little segment that's going to explain who the Goodyear Blimp really belongs to.
The Blimp's almost like a mascot of LA. I guarantee you probably 99% of Angelenos think the Blimp is our thing and it only exists here. I feel like LA wouldn't be the same without the Blimp.
Walking up to it, it is just this presence and this LA icon that you feel like you are approaching. It is a really unique experience.
We're Pompano. We're Pompano people, and the Pompano Blimp is ours. Every city has something, but the Blimp is ours, and it's iconic. I'm 57 years old, and we still stop and say, look, there's the Blimp. That's when you know something's really cool to your community. Sorry, Ohio, but it's ours.
We're members of this Palm Beach Sailing Club, and when you're out in the water out there, you see it a lot of times going north, and kids' regattas and things. Whenever you're outside, you see it. It's kind of hard to miss.
The Blimp belongs to Akron. Period. End of story. It's cool that it's there. It's cool that it's in Florida. They belong here.
I think the Blimp means a lot to Akron. It's our own national treasure, along with some other ones that we have from Akron. But I think that to see all of these major events all around the world, and to see that the Blimp is a part of those, and to know that, you know, we're just from this little town in Ohio, and we could drive up the street and see these amazing monstrosities.
Well, we are very possessive. I mean, when I say we, I lived in Ohio for a long time, and I went to school in Akron. So the Blimp is everything to us.
To me, it just means home. That's what the Blimp means to me, to have it in Akron. It's just home.
We're at the headquarters of Blimp happiness.
It's great to have confirmed what I think we already knew, which is that the Goodyear Blimp belongs to Akron. We are here right now asking for your support of PBS Western Reserve. And when you make a contribution to support this nonprofit public media organization, you will be automatically entered into a drawing to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. This is an exclusive offer only available until December 19th. So make your contribution right now. Call us at 1-800-672-4549, and you will automatically be entered into that drawing to win a ride on the Blimp.
And not only are you automatically entered into that drawing, but when you call that number on your screen or visit our website, you can see all the incredible thank you gifts we have to offer. I am so excited about everything we're offering with this program tonight. We have limited edition trading cards. They feature Wingfoot 1, 2, and 3. There's facts on the back. Those are available at $5 a month. If you're able to make a donation of $10 a month, we have a collectible keychain that says Goodyear Airships Crew. I also am really incredibly excited about what we're offering at $19 a month. It is a 4-set magnet piece that has all of the historical blimps included on it. But the item that I am most excited to talk about tonight is what you get when you make a $100 a month contribution. At that level, you get an authentic piece of fabric from the spirit of Goodyear. It's in this nice little laser etched acrylic case, and it's really a piece of fabric from the spirit of Goodyear, which is just unbelievable to me. $100 a month, you're supporting PBS Western Reserve with that and taking home an amazing limited edition thank you gift.
Call us at 1-800-672-4549 and select the thank you gift that is right for you at the level that's right for you. And everyone who contributes during this program through December 19th will be entered into that contest to win a ride on the Goodyear Blimp. You're only going to find it here with PBS Western Reserve. Please contribute right now.
On June 3rd, 2025, the Goodyear Blimp officially celebrated its 100th anniversary. It was on this date in 1925 that Goodyear's first branded blimp, Pilgrim, embarked on its inaugural flight near Akron, Ohio.
A lot of work has gone into what we're looking at now. The people that are here, the facilities that we have, the equipment, the airship that we're flying, that's all built off of 100 years of other people's work. So, you know, it's important to me to try to just not really preserve that history, because that's for a museum. We're not preserving anything here. We're still doing the history, but it's important for me to respect that history. We're building on history, we're building on tradition. We've been doing this for 100 years. I hope we do it for another 100 years, and someone looks back and looks at something that I did that helped them 100 years in the future.
The fact that the thing is just floating through the air, and it just made people feel they could stop and go, oh, there goes the Goodyear Blimp. But it also made people feel good because it hung around and it took its time. It didn't just race through your life in a split second. I wouldn't change his job for anything. Even if it was American Airlines that came down and said, you could be a captain, I said, nope, I love doing this.
The Blimp's Centennial brought many celebrations, from its hometown of Akron, Ohio, to visits all over the US and Europe, and even a special edition Blimp throwback look.
So one of the things that was super unique and really fun about the 100th anniversary year was being able to do things that were specific to the airship and really show the airship off as a tool of its own, as the icon that it really is. And one of the most unique parts of that was kind of paying homage back to our original 1925 Pilgrim by rebranding Wingfoot One to be the Pilgrim colors, the old vintage silver with the big black vintage Goodyear logo on it. Just made it super special in the 100th anniversary year to be able to kind of pay that homage back to the originals, to the grandfather of the fleet, string together that entire 100 years of history that the Goodyear Blimp really is.
The Goodyear Blimp will continue to bring joy and goodwill to fans for years to come.
The blimps really have that significance for people. They represent delight and celebration, and they aren't zipping across the sky like jets. They're up there kind of chugging along, looking kind of cute, you know, and delightful. People connect with it. Wow, that big thing's actually flying up there, you know? Well, there's no doubt that Goodyear airships have a grand future, the same future that they've had since 1925. And blimps will continue to serve that kind of purpose, to delight people and call their attention to advertising in one way or another.
Being part of airship operations that is turning 100 years old really makes me feel special, and that I was part of something that has been around for a very, very long time, and people look up in the air and say, oh, there goes the Goodyear Blimp. And that's exactly what our mission was.
A lot of ties now when I think back to my dad, memories of that, and driving by the blimp and always having conversations about the blimp. So that eventually led me into aviation myself at 16 years old. I think the blimp had a lot to do with that. I guess we all have a story about and memories with the blimp. And mine go back to a dad that I was with daily. It continues now to a 4.5-year-old granddaughter. So it's more than just, I guess it does mean a lot, huh? Why does this thing strike something in our soul? I don't know, but it does. Goodyear better keep it going.
The fact that we've made it as an airship operations team 100 years with a tool that some people at this point would kind of even call antiquated sometimes, where we continue to push innovation, we continue to reinvent what we do and how we do it. And I'm not sure what the future will bring for us, but I'm sure that if we continue to do those things and we continue to be the icon we are and to be exciting to our fans, that whatever the future holds for the Goodyear Blimp, we'll be there for it.
Hey Blimp, happy 100th birthday. I hope to be with you for another 100.
Yeah, happy 100th anniversary to the Goodyear Blimp, and here's to the next 100 years.
Happy 100th birthday, Blimp. 100 more, and maybe 200 after that.
Great part of American history. It's awesome whenever we see it, and I hope to see a lot more in the future.
Happy 100th birthday, Goodyear Blimp.
Blimp, happy 100 years. I mean, sis, you look really good for 100, honestly. And maybe like the only thing in the world where it's encouraged that you just keep growing and getting bigger as you get older.
I'd like to say happy birthday to the Goodyear Blimp for 100 good years.
100 years, fantastic. Looking forward to the next 100 years and looking forward to my children, my grandchild, seeing it up in the sky and saying, I remember when Grandpa used to tell me all about the blimp and seeing it all the time.
Happy birthday, Goodyear Blimp!
Goodyear Blimp!
I just want to say happy 100th anniversary to the blimp. I call it the LA Blimp. It's the LA Goodyear Blimp, and I love seeing you around. Sorry, it's hard for me to talk to the blimp.
Happy birthday to many more to come, and we love you.
Happy 100th anniversary to the Goodyear Blimp.
Happy anniversary to the Goodyear Blimp. Happy birthday specifically to my 3 daughters out here, and to the next 100 years. Hope they're great ones.
Keep rolling with the Goodyear Blimp, baby.